Provinces across Canada are presenting budgets this spring. Britain had a budget just a few weeks ago. Canada was going to have a budget this spring, and Justin said, no, we aren't going to have one now. So is that okay? Do we need budgets? Why do we need budgets? Jay Goldberg is with the Canadian Taxpayers Federation and joins me right now because I put the question to you. Do we need a budget? What are budgets for?
Well, we absolutely need a budget because that's the point at which governments are held accountable for their financial decisions. So we absolutely need a budget to see what the Trudeau Liberals are doing in terms of their government spending. But I would say that in the history of the country, even in the middle of World War I and World War II, our prime ministers and our finance ministers presented budgets. So this is an exceptional circumstance. And as you said, every province in Canada except for Nova Scotia has also presented a budget. Next week, Ontario is going to present its third budget since the last federal budget. So that tells you just how long.
Well, what's going on? What's a possible excuse for Justin not to have a budget?
Well, I think the federal government is likely trying to evade some responsibility for the decisions that they've made. I think that obviously it's a question to put to Prime Minister Trudeau.
It was put to him. He didn't answer in his usual way. I'm working for Canadians.
Yeah, but it's a very important thing that we should have an answer from him on.
Well, just the other day, the Minister of Infrastructure put out a big plan and was talking about, I thought they were doing this in 2015. They said they're putting all this money out for infrastructure across Canada. Most people think infrastructure is great. And she said, well, we're going to do a review. We're going to look at what is needed. 6 years after they've been in power doing this, we're going to have a review, find out what's needed, how much money is needed to be spent. Is that the kind of stuff that a budget is for, to determine what's needed, how you're going to spend it?
That's exactly what budgets are for. Budgets are for the government to tell us exactly how much revenue they're expecting, how much they're spending on expenses, and tell us a deficit figure or a surplus figure. Obviously, it's not going to be a surplus right now. But these are really the times when we can hold governments accountable, and they present to us exactly what they've done over previous years. The other thing a budget does will project into the future as to what future deficits are going to look like. And I think that's something that the Prime Minister probably doesn't want us to see.
I think you put your finger on like that. So anyway, without a budget, Canadians are in the dark. And do you think perhaps the government itself is in the dark? Is it just spending money like crazy with no accounting?
It's quite possible. There seems to be billions of dollars in spending announcements every few days. Obviously, a little bit of spending change is going to be seen during a pandemic, but yeah, the government doesn't seem to have a clear plan, and every other government has shown us their numbers.
Justin is unique, no question about that. Jay Goldberg, thank you very much. 3 minutes. This pandemic is serving to make governments at all levels bigger. And with bigger governments, you have reduced liberties, which means you really need an independent press, because without an independent press paid for by Justin Trudeau, you aren't going to be hearing about the abuses in government. And that's what this is all about. It's important to know what is going on with our country. And so, I have to pay for the crew and have to pay for the equipment. We want to continue this service. And we're appealing to you to make some donations to help us out. You can pay through the PayPal, which is right below this, and we'll be very grateful in order to keep this going so that we know what is happening to Canada.